Things are getting so weird regarding the Epstein cover-up that President Trump has tripled down now on his bizarre comments, trying to brush it under the rug and pretending that it's not important. And I'll get into the reasons why I believe that is. In case you missed my previous videos, I'll just cover that again briefly. But things are so strange that you can't even begin to convey how strange they are. Congressman Hank Johnson, a Democrat, wrote a song encouraging President Trump to release the Epstein files. Brace yourself. There's incoming cringe in 3, 2.
Epstein died by believe that, and you must be blind. You've been telling us you released the file, but where are they? We've gone along with what's been told. We've had plenty of time. You're in control. But now you say you will withhold the Epstein file.
But on a serious note, something is obviously very wrong here. And in case you missed my video yesterday, the call literally went out to mainstream conservative and Republican hosts, talk shows, pundits, social media personalities, and told them to stop talking about it. Which is particularly strange considering this is how the leadership in the Department of Justice used to sound.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
Yes, I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in those black books? Why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
Well, we all know how that turned out, don't we? Some popular social media personalities, mostly from Twitter, from X, DC Drano, the libs of TikToks, Chaya Raichik, Mike Cernovich, Liz Wheeler, and others were brought to the White House and then given binders full of old and redacted documents that had long been previously published, duped into believing that they finally got the scoop. Here's President Trump tripling down, telling people that it's not important. The first time he made these bizarre comments, you may recall, was last week when he was in the Oval Office and he was asked about it and was surprised people were still interested in it. And then Pam Bondi deflected even further. And then when the outrage occurred over that, he doubled down, posting another bizarre and rambling post on Truth Social, telling people that they need to move on. And so now he was asked this question.
I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going.
Now, one explanation would be that this is a nearly 80-year-old man who is out of touch and is spinning so many different plates, trying to figure out the economy and the immigration issue and battle all the different judges trying to stop his executive orders and negotiate the end to 2 different wars around the world, that he just doesn't understand the importance and has never really seen how deep that Epstein rabbit hole goes. But you would think that his staff would have briefed him after the initial outrage over his comments and then briefed him, especially after his doubling down Someone would have come to him and been like, excuse me, sir, there's some things that you need to know here. But the fact that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Donald Trump Jr., and others who are very well aware of what's going on are in his inner circle and have direct access to him, and by now definitely would have briefed him about him being out of touch with just how important and how many people care about this, that is really not a good explanation. Another much more plausible explanation is that he got the talk by those in the intelligence community, whether in our agencies or a certain foreign agency that works for a country that Ben Shapiro endlessly defends no matter what, telling him it is what it is, and threatening not just him, but members of his family. I'll say it again, I think it's extremely unlikely that Donald Trump was compromised by Epstein, or at least if he was, it certainly would not have been with Jeffrey Epstein's usual type. Could have been with a Stormy Daniels type. I mean, we know President Trump has had some bad behavior in the past. But if that was the case, then the Democrats would have leaked it in order to stop him from becoming president again in 2024. That would have been, at the very least, their October surprise, because they threw everything at him, including the kitchen sink, trying to stop him. And that wasn't even so much of a rumor. And certainly the deep state and James Comey would have known if there was any compromising material of that nature in the Epstein files. And I'll say this and then I'll go on to some other developments. Another possibility is that he was briefed by his intelligence agencies who have been wargaming out possible scenarios for fallout for this. And they may have concluded, I'm not saying that this is a right or wrong thing to decide, but it is one of the possibilities that they may have convinced him that if he were to reveal the extent of this operation, that it would shake the core of the conscience. Obviously it would, but it would shake it so much in America that it would be psychologically, sociologically, economically devastating for the country. Not to mention that the hardcore documents would never have been available to the general rank and file FBI, probably not even the FBI director. We're talking about the deep state. We're talking about a mafia that is working within intelligence agencies. And so those files, that information, certainly would not have been made available to anybody outside of a small network of people. But you would think that no matter what their rationale is for trying to sweep this under the rug, that they would have concocted a better cover story instead of just looking more and more suspicious every single day. Would you like to tell us more nonsense, sir?
Mr. President, your daughter-in-law said that there should be transparency in the Epstein case. Do you agree with her, sir?
The Attorney General's handled that very well. She's really done a very good job. And I think that when you look at it, you'll understand that. I would like to see that also. But I think the Attorney General, the credibility is very important. And you want credible evidence for something like that. And I think the Attorney General has handled it very well.
How many more states?
Actually, she's done a terrible job, and a normal Attorney General by now would have held a press conference and addressed the American people's concerns about what it is that's going on.
She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden and we went through years of that.
Jeffrey Epstein was arrested like in the early 2000s.
With the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through, we've gone through years of it. But she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
Here she is at a press conference yesterday where they were talking about their success in reducing the fentanyl that's been flowing in through the southern border. And then someone asked her about this, and then, well, just wait and see her response to that.
You said that he would support you releasing additional credible evidence from the Epstein investigation. Is that something that you are open to doing? He said this just a few months ago.
This today is about fentanyl. This is about a wall of people right outside this room who have died from, I appreciate your question, but this today is about fentanyl overdoses throughout our country and people who have lost loved ones to fentanyl. That's the message that we're here to send today. Nothing about Epstein. I'm not going to talk about Epstein.
You see, she's used to going on Fox News and getting scripted softball questions. She spends more time on air on Fox News than she does at her desk in the Department of Justice. And so she can't answer a simple question like, hey, do you think maybe you're going to look further into this? I mean, it'd be like a yes or no answer. It'd take you about a split second to respond. But instead, she deflected. But you know what? Clickbait and Benny Johnson, of all people, who runs an industrial clickbaiting operation, who, by the way, in case you didn't know, got fired from BuzzFeed years ago for mass plagiarism. So plagiarism and clickbait are literally in his veins. But credit where credit is due. You know me, I am your trusted media analyst, media critic. I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about how the media works and what's going on behind the scenes. But credit where credit's due. Clickbait and Benny landed this interview with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson yesterday, who revealed this.
A question here about it that concerns either testifying or testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially before Congress, or if you would support members like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Anna Paulina Luna on the release of subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Marjorie or Anna about that specific subject, but I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. We look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity and going after Act Blue and the things that the president is most concerned about, as we are. So I'm anxious to get this behind us.
Very interesting, as uncomfortable as he was answering that question. We are making progress. And now Congressman Tim Burchett has posted a letter calling on Ghislaine Maxwell to testify before the GOP Oversight Committee on the Epstein case. Also, Democrat Congressman Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, Republican, are introducing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a bipartisan bill to require the Attorney General to release the files within 30 days. So it's going to be interesting. This probably won't even get past the committee, but it's a good litmus test to see who it is that's not, well, part of the cover-up in Congress. And I do have a meme for you. You know that I try to keep things a little light. I try to bring a little levity and humor to the craziness that we're experiencing in our country, in our culture, on our planet. But sometimes that's a little tough, days like this. But thankfully, we have the meme makers like Ildondo Trumpo, who posted this, what appears to be a DM from President Xi Jinping. Reese the wrist, Donald. We're making racist jokes great again. I really don't care what anybody says. Stay tuned because there's still a little bit more in this video. But real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here because, well, obviously you're not going to get news, analysis, and politically incorrect commentary like this anywhere else. Here's what Judge Andrew Napolitano used to say. Someone whose work I have highly respected over the years. Someone who has been in direct communication with President Trump. This is his assessment on why this bizarreness is happening. And I disagree. I think that he's kind of on the right trail, but then he missed one of the paths.
And Trump intervening in that asinine way, saying, I can't believe people are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein, when he and his whole MAGA movement never stopped talking about Jeffrey Epstein. What changed, do you think? What happened in the evidence bundle that persuaded them not to proceed?
I think that I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I think Trump's name is on the list. I think Mossad knows it. I think Mossad told their American stenographer, who happens to be the director of the CIA, who takes down and regurgitates everything Mossad told him. And I think that stenographer whispered it into the president's ear. And he's terrified that this will come out because he knows it will be the beginning of the end, whether there's a Republican Congress or a Democrat Congress. That's what I honestly believe has happened. Now, obviously, I haven't seen the files. I can explain to you the way the system works. But when a federal judge orders that a document or a set of documents be preserved and published to the public, there is zero justification for it not happening. The president's reaction, you put your finger on it, George. I played that tape several times on my own show. The president's reaction was so personal, so defensive to attack the questioner that it was obvious he was terrified to have a truthful answer be given.
American politicians and political pundits are terrified about something, as RFK Jr. demonstrates here when he is asked about it by comedian Dave Smith.
Do you have concerns about the level of Israeli influence in our politics here in the United States of America?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a politician in political office, so I don't see much of that.
By the way, there wasn't a glitch in that video. He really did take a few seconds to sit there and try to formulate an answer that wouldn't get him in trouble. But the dam has burst in politics and conservative media regarding the biggest taboo topic that you're not supposed to talk about, that you're supposed to completely ignore, that newcomers to the industry, if they start asking questions about it, get the call and tell them that they're putting their career at risk. And now we have so many people that just can't help but wonder about it. We have people like comedian Rob Schneider saying this at a Turning Point USA conference last week.
Israel is a free country, and Israel is a country that we must always stand by. But
he has to throw that caveat in there to try to avoid the inevitable accusations of anti-Semitism. But just listen.
But until they become the 51st state or a territory, their lobbying must apply as foreign lobbyists. That's not anti-Semitic. You can support Israel completely and unabashedly, but also want AIPAC to apply as a foreign lobbying group.
But that would put an end to our wars in order to help Israel, which is why we went into Iraq after the 9/11 attacks. It wasn't to protect America from Saddam Hussein reconstituting his weapons program. It was to protect Israel. In fact, if you actually read Osama bin Laden's letter to the American people, you would understand that the reason that Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11 is not necessarily because they hate America inherently because of who we are. It's because of our financial and military support of Israel. But in honor of Saturday Night Live alums from back when the show actually was funny in the late 90s and early 2000s, here is a timeless clip from the great Norm Macdonald.
Well, earlier this week, actor Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live. Among them that, quote, Hollywood is run by Jews. The Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again.
But you're not supposed to joke about things like that. It's dangerous, right, Glenn Beck?
Jews are kicked out of every single country eventually they're in. I'm afraid it could happen here in America.
What an odd thing to say, but Glenn Beck's not Jewish, so what would he know, right? Oh, wait, what's this?
We are a people that has been kicked out of every place we've ever lived for 2,000 years. Every single place.
If someone got kicked out of every single bar in town, would that be an issue with the bar, the management, the ownership, or with the person's behavior? I'm sorry, you're not supposed to think about those kinds of things. Moving on. Shameless plug alert. If you enjoy watching my videos and you want to support my work, head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and order your new Alligator Alcatraz t-shirt, long sleeve hoodie, tank top, or a woman's cut for the ladies out there. Now also available in pink. This one is available in two different styles. The more bold one and this sort of subtle pocket style. It's not a pocketed shirt, but I think that's what it's called if you don't want the big, bold logo on there. 2 different styles. I'm going to start rolling out some of these in other shirt designs as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.